Hey everyone, it's your girl Maddie here, aka Beaver Mosh, and today I am joined by Henry from God Dethroned, who is coming out with their latest album, The Judas Paradox, coming out this Friday off of Reigning Phoenix Music. Um, Henry, we had some issues last week. I messed up, but thank you for joining me this week. How are we doing today?
I'm doing fine, thank you very much. And don't worry about last week, man. It's no problem.
Yeah. Um, well, I am curious. This is your 12th album, I believe. And I'm wondering, does putting out this one feel as fresh and exciting as putting out your debut in 92?
Uh, yeah, it does. Because we try to do something new every time, you know. We are not a band who works with a certain formula. If we had, like, for example, a success album like Bloody Blasphemy, basically the album everybody refers to when they speak about God Dethroned. We could have stuck to the blueprint of that album and made 10 more Bloody Blasphemies.
Hmm.
But we don't work like that. We try to do something new and fresh every album.
Yeah.
So when we write songs, it should be things we haven't played before. The lyrics should be different than the ones we did before. So I want people to recognize it's God Dethroned. So
Yeah.
there is some kind of signature, I guess. But every album should be new and fresh, and that makes it exciting to work on. And I guess it makes it exciting to listen to as well.
Yeah. Now, thematically on this record, you're drawing from a lot of content, but something you're definitely diving into here, hence the title, is the story of Judas Iscariot. And what about that narrative is so compelling to you that you wanted to kind of center a record around it?
I at a certain point I had this idea. What what would happen if he was innocent? It's like
Hmm.
it's like everybody assumes he's guilty of betraying Jesus Christ. And that idea made me do some research, like I
Sure.
usually do for any song that I write. And I found out that in the Bible there's two stories about Judas Iscariot.
Hmm.
Story number one is the story everybody knows, and story number two is the story that Jesus could look into the future and knew what was going to happen, knew that he had to be killed to be able to return as king of the world,
Yeah.
and he knew that he would choose Judas to be the person who to fulfill this plan. That fact alone makes Judas innocent because he didn't act in free will. He was chosen to do so, and Jesus knew beforehand. That's story number two. It's not something I made up.
Yeah.
It's in the Bible. And I didn't know that, to be
Yeah.
honest. I think a lot of people don't know that, but just look it up. You can find it. Look it up on the
Yeah.
internet. You will find a story from the Bible that says exactly what I just told you.
Yeah. And so it's something that like someone who believes that scripture has some truth to it would have to explain, well, is Judas the bad person then? Because he was fulfilling and making sure this thing that had to happen happened. Like he was just kind of used in that situation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I found that interesting, and I decided to write the lyric from the point of view of Judas.
Hmm.
So he describes who he is, that he's one of the 12 disciples, that he's proud of that he saw Jesus as his brother, blah, blah, blah. And then the song is talking about the betraying part. And then in the end, when the clean vocals come, which is
Hmm.
being sung by Dave, our lead guitar player, Dave sings the part from Jesus towards Judas, where he explains that this was a master plan, and that's for greater good, and that Judas was the chosen one to fulfill the plan, and hoping that he would not blame him for that. So
Hmm.
and then the circles round, and I just used that story from the Bible as the blueprint for the lyrics, and yeah, I think it's great. People know us
Yeah.
from the band who always mocks the Bible or mocks stories from the Bible, but this
Yeah.
is something that's in the Bible, and I just
Yeah.
told it from Judas's point of view, and I think that makes it quite interesting And nobody can blame me for mocking the Bible because it's just what's in there.
It's a wild book. It's a
Oh yeah,
wild book.
definitely.
Um, you're no strangers to the live circuit. You know, you have played Vakin, you have toured with Cannibal Corpse and Morbid Angel. What do you try to provide, God Dethroned listeners in your live show that people cannot get on record?
Oh, that's a difficult question. I think you shouldn't be asking me that. You should ask one of the people who went to a show and liked it.
Sure. Yeah.
Um, yeah, we just try to play a set that is appealing to people. So we try to make it as diverse as possible. We try to play something from every album, which is basically impossible
Hmm.
because we have too many. Um, and I don't know. We try to be as good as possible, and I know for a fact that we are a good live band.
Yeah.
So yeah, come and see us, and then you'll know.
In the past, when you've put, 'cause there's kind of, I've noticed bands, there's different approaches when they tour and they put together a set list. Some bands will kind of try to get try to introduce new material with that tour, and so their set list will be very heavily leaning towards the record they just put out. Some people stick to, okay, these are our most popular tracks. This is the ones we're going to throw on the set list. Or and some bands kind of do a mixture of both. Do you have kind of a philosophy in how you put your set list together?
Well, usually we try to make a good mix between new stuff and old stuff.
Hmm.
And you try to find out which songs are doing the best in a live situation. You
Sure.
can have a favorite song on the album, but that's not necessarily the song that will do the best in a live situation. So,
Exactly.
um, so usually what we did in the past was like play up to three songs from the new album. I suppose you start the set with the new songs, and then you switch to the songs everybody knows. So you have a show that everybody likes. The downside is that you stick to the old songs too much. If you play only new songs, then the downside can be that people think like, yeah, but I don't know the songs so well. I want to hear the songs that I do know.
Hmm.
So there's a little bit of a debate going on within the band about what we should play on the upcoming
Yeah.
tour. Um, I wanted something like 50-50, like 50% new songs, 50% old stuff. But now everybody says, yeah, but I want to play that song. And then somebody else says, yeah, but I want to play that
Yeah.
song. So today I said to the guys, okay, man, I don't
Yeah.
care. We can also play only new songs on the tour. I said, some people, will not take it very lightly and maybe a bit disappointed about that. But on the other hand, we have a new album. It's a very
Yeah.
strong album. And it would be a pity to only play three songs off of that album.
Hmm.
So it could be that in this case, maybe 80% of the live show will be new songs.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens. I mean, if people want to hear more old stuff, then they have to come back in the future to a
Yeah.
future show where there's a better balance and maybe more playing time.
I when I ask this, I'm right now currently thinking of. I know there's a lot of discussion on about Iron Maiden right now because they're on tour and their current set list seems to focus almost primarily, almost completely of their new album, and they're foregoing playing almost any of the like hit Iron Maiden songs. And people have opinions on that. Is that cool? Is that kind of is that bold, or is that just kind of an asshole move by Iron Maiden? It's like kind of fans. It makes fans have a reaction.
Yeah, I know what you
Yeah.
mean. The funny thing is, it's a good
Yeah.
example, actually. The same goes for Judas Priest. I will explain.
Yeah.
Iron Maiden puts out a new album.
Yeah.
The latest Iron Maiden albums are okay,
Hmm.
but they're not as great as the old stuff.
Correct.
I'm sorry, that's just my honest opinion.
Yeah.
I like to hear new songs, but not too much. I also like to hear the old stuff because it's so damn good.
Yeah.
Now we'll go to Judas Priest. I saw Judas Priest in Amsterdam not so long ago. They have a killer new album. It's an awesome new album.
Yeah.
So for me, they could have played all the songs of the new album, but no. What did they do? They played only two songs of the new album and then went straight back into all the old shit,
Yeah.
which is great. But their new album is so strong, they could have played a lot more new songs. So that's what I mean. If you have a strong album and you want to promote it and want to play it all live, fine. But in Maiden's case, hmm, I can understand why people don't like it so much because their
Yeah.
albums are not that strong anymore. I'm sorry. I'm a big Maiden fan, so I know I'm
Hmm.
probably saying some unkind things at the moment, but I'm a big Maiden fan. But yeah, the latest albums are not the best.
I have a Maiden tattoo. I will be going to see Maiden when they come around here, but I also am kind of like I don't their newest records are just aren't the same as Number of the Beast. They're just aren't. But like it is what it is. And so I mean I'm sure it'll still be a great show. So I don't completely blame Iron Maiden for it. They
No, no,
want
no.
yeah. Um From my understanding, this is your first album on Reigning Phoenix. The last one came out on Metal Blade. What
Yeah,
has been your experience with this label switch? How has Reigning Phoenix been for you?
they've been excellent.
Yeah.
They their promotion is so great. It's nonstop. It's like it goes on 24 hours a day. If I post something, then they will repost it immediately, and it doesn't matter if
Mhm.
it's 8 in the morning or two at night. It seems like they're always
Yeah.
on and they're always doing promotion and always making sure you're in the spotlight. This is something that Metal Blade did not do at that level.
Hmm.
I'm not sure about the US office because that's where their main focus is.
Yeah.
But in Europe, they were not as good in promotion as Reigning Phoenix is. That's just a fact.
Mhm.
I'm not saying anything bad about Metal Blade because they've been we've been with them for since basically the beginning, since the
Yeah.
second album, since '96. We've been on the label for 25 years. They did a lot of great things for us, so I'm really thankful for having been on that label for so
Yeah.
long. But after 25 years, it was really time to make a switch. At a certain point, the spark is gone. At a certain point, you're doing a new album, and they are putting it out, and that's it.
Hmm.
Now, in the new situation with Reigning Phoenix, we are doing an album, and of course, we try to do it as good as possible because we want to show them that they signed a great band.
Sure.
And in return, they will do everything possible to show us that they are the best label we could ever have signed to by doing a lot of promotion, by giving us a really good budget, and by doing everything we wish for.
Hmm.
And that's great. And that's the spark that I was looking for from both sides. And that was something that was gone after 25 years on Metal Blade.
Yeah, I have nothing negative to say about Metal Blade either. It's a great record label, but I have to think with Metal Blade being such a recognizable thing, right? Like Metal Blade is huge
Yeah.
that just by the nature of the beast, they can't give as much individual attention and promotion to any individual band as maybe a smaller label like Rain Phoenix can and is able to give you.
Yeah, also that. But Raining
Mm.
Phoenix is growing
Yeah.
fast. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable. But you know, the Metal Blade is huge in the US. I think they're by far the biggest label in the US when it comes to metal.
Yeah.
They have very strong US bands, US based bands,
Yeah.
and they have their main focus on those bands, and that's totally understandable.
Hmm.
After 30 years, we still managed to stay an underground band, so I don't blame them.
Yeah.
But just like I described, we needed a change, and we did it, and we're happy with it.
100%. I want to talk about one of the singles that you have already put out for the record, that being Rat Kingdom. Um, Musically, you've been described as like a black and death metal band, but this one I think you really take on the black metal side of that, in my opinion. And lyrically, you seem to be really taking an aim at the Vatican. Am I correct there in my interpretation?
Yeah, you're very correct. I think everybody knows that there's so many secrets hiding in the Vatican.
Hmm.
And I also think that everybody knows that those secrets will never see the light of day.
Hmm.
There's many sketchy things hidden inside that place, I think, and I don't know what it is. And I guess basically nobody knows, and I think nobody will ever know. I thought that was a great idea to write a song about.
Yeah.
So it's about someone who's trying to find out what's going on in the Vatican, but he will never get out again to be able to tell. That's what the song is about.
I don't think it's a stretch to think that any sort of powerful institution has corruption, is hiding secrets, whether it be a government, whether it be a corporation, and of course, a religious institution is a part of that, is a powerful
Yeah,
being that
yeah,
controls people.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And they have so much money.
Yeah.
They don't pay taxes. Religions don't pay taxes.
Yeah.
So yeah, they have a lot of money and they can do whatever they want. I think they're much stronger than people think.
I get so enraged when I see, like a a very wealthy preacher on go on the TV and ask for money, and poor people that are bought into this will give all they have to the church because they feel like it'll get them closer to God. It's disgusting.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
I know that for a fact for a very long time already.
Yeah. um you made a comment in terms of the lead guitar work on the record, and I'll quote you. Um the Serpent Kings, which is one of your guitar players, has a very own style of guitar solo, one which stands out from the masses that are inspired by the late Jeff Hanneman.
Yeah.
What makes the Serpent King, your guitarist style, so distinct?
Well, I am the Serpent King,
Yeah.
so I am that person. Um, I'm Henry, aka the Serpent King. So
Yeah.
just so you know.
Yeah.
When I started playing guitar I started playing guitar when I was 15, and I joined my
Yeah.
first band at 17. And although I loved Iron Maiden already for quite some years, then I could not play that stuff. And I found out that the tremolo, the whammy bar on the guitar, was my savior.
Sure. Yeah.
And of course, I knew Slayer as well, and I really loved that. And I love the guitar solos, especially Jeff Hanneman's solos. I don't know
Mhm.
why, for some kind of reason, it's something that's really appealing to me. So I adapted that style already, so early on when I
Yeah.
just played guitar for 2 years. I stuck with that. I became really good at it, and I never tried to become like a lead guitar player like Dave is. Like Dave, the lead guitar player in our band, he is
Mhm.
from a different planet.
Yeah.
He can play anything. I could never, come close, and I just became very good at playing the Slayer-esque guitar solos.
Mhm.
Like my style is very Jeff Hanneman alike, and everybody knows. But I never pointed that out, and I just felt like pointing it out.
Sure.
That what I did is just an homage to his way of playing, his style of playing,
Mhm.
because I think it's been amazing. He was such a great guitar player, and I just wanted to point it out for once.
Yeah.
That's
You know,
basically it.
I was wondering maybe we could talk about Slayer a little bit because, you know, Slayer being, one of the well-known thrash metal bands. But I think their influence on black metal maybe not emphasized enough. I think they were a huge, band to bridge the gap from like maybe like early thrash and heavy metal to some of the more extreme stuff like death metal and black metal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so too. It's because the way they played the harmonies,
Yeah.
and I think it's the way they put some kind of brutality in their songs. It's not even super fast, but it does sound very powerful, and it's in your face. It's very appealing to everybody who plays extreme music,
Hmm.
and it's very good musicianship at the same time. It's very enjoyable. how could you not like Slayer? Basically,
Mm.
that's what you're saying, and because of that, it's an influence to everybody who plays the more extreme kinds of metal, like death metal, black metal, etc.
Yeah. I mean, even to the point of, Tom Araya's lyrics, which are, really pushing the boundaries of kind of that anti-religion, anti-authority stuff. I don't think it was in metal for sure, but I think Slayer and Venom really just like opened the door to like this is what you can and this is what we want to say in our metal music.
You know, I think with Slayer especially,
Yeah.
they had the guts to say things that nobody dared to say.
Mhm.
You know, when they put out the Raining Blood album, the lyrics on that album, I think many bands couldn't have gotten away with it, and they did. They just did, and they
Yeah.
got away with it, and everybody loves them for it. Um, which is amazing because why shouldn't you be able to sing about topics like that? And they did, and they kept on doing that. You know, they kept
Mhm.
on putting out those bold statements, and I think many people were jealous about it too. You know, like I
Yeah.
wish I had the guts to say things like that. And it's a great statement. I think they're the band to to say what they wanted to say
Mm.
and just could do it and was accepted by a large group of people.
I think, and maybe I got my timing wrong, maybe a bit, but I'm pretty sure Slayer's peak popularity was at least close enough to the mass hysteria around like the satanic panic. And for like a lot of bands, were trying to defend themselves against, these accusations. No, we're not a Satan worshiping band. We're not, trying to be anti-religion. And Slayer's like, yeah, so what? What are you gonna do about it? This is what we're saying. And uh that's
Yeah,
it. And we're gonna and people appreciated that.
yeah, I can
Yeah.
imagine. I mean, this whole thing that was going on back in the day was just bullshit, and
Yeah.
just people trying to prevent bands from being themselves.
Right.
And they just gave them the middle finger, and that's how it should be.
Hmm.
But a band like Cannibal Corpse, for example, in Germany, there's been a time where they couldn't play songs off of the first two albums.
Interesting.
In Germany, I mean, in Europe, that's really extraordinary. I mean, in Europe, you can basically say anything. People may protest, but that will not make a difference normally. But they, for many years, could not play any songs off of the first two albums. And as a matter of fact, because I was there, we toured with them. There was police in the venue waiting for them to play a song of the first two albums and then arrest the whole band. But of course, the guys were smart and didn't do that. They knew they would go to jail if they did. But there was police in the venue to arrest them if they did. That's how sick it was. Unbelievable.
That's insane. And also, I'm like, I'm trying to think, would these police officers be able to recognize Cannibal Corpse music enough to like be able to tell?
I I, I thought the same. I thought,
Yeah.
will they be Cannibal Corpse fans or something? And then
Yeah.
put on the police uniform and wait in the venue for them to play a song
Yeah.
from that album. I really don't know.
Yeah.
I thought the same. Like,
Yeah.
how are they gonna know that
Yeah.
this is a song that's forbidden?
That's really funny to think about. I don't know how that could have. I have no idea, but maybe they had a way. I don't know.
I
Um,
also don't understand why this happened. I don't know what's on the first albums that's so tragic that it could not be performed live compared
yeah.
to all the albums that came afterwards. I mean, it's beyond me. I don't know what rule the German government found to prevent the band from playing songs from the first two albums. I really don't understand.
So if they played Hammer Smash Face, which I think is like on their force or something, they would have been okay. That's that makes no sense to me, but okay.
Well, they could not play Hammer Smash Face. It's on the first or second album. I don't know, but
Is it okay?
yeah. So, but they couldn't play that one in Germany. So yeah, I don't know, but I think that the curse is lifted. I think they can play anything now, and I don't know what it was, but yeah, in Europe, it's really unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes no sense. Well, you started recording this record last fall. Um, and I'm curious, how did you approach the writing process for the Judas Paradox as compared to previous records? Was it similar? Was there differences?
Oh yeah, everything was different this time. Normally, we would be together in the rehearsal room, or at least me and the drummer would be in the rehearsal room to work on ideas. But this time, not once. We all worked at home. We recorded ideas, sent them to each other by email, um, and that's it. And then we started recording everybody on its own, and we put everything together. And
Mhm.
then I mixed the album, and this is what came out. So yeah, it's really unbelievable that we didn't. It was not even a band process in the old school way. It was like all done remotely, and everything came together just fine. Like we
Hmm.
recorded in the same room, and yeah, it's extraordinary. And now we are learning our own songs to be able to play them live on tour,
Sweet.
and that's a weird thing to me because yeah, normally you would rehearse with the band and know the songs and then record them and then play live. But now everything's different. I guess
Mhm.
it's a new way of working, and it's on one hand it's nice because we don't live very close to each other, so it saves a lot of traveling. And at the same time, it's weird because the old school way is actually a perfect way to work on songs together.
Yeah, no, I mean, it feels very organic that way, very natural.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you know the funny thing is when you listen to the songs on the album, they sound very natural as well.
Hmm.
So that's weird. That's weird that the album sounds very natural and organic, and we were not together when we recorded it.
But yeah, but I mean, I think, yeah, bands can find ways to use, as you said, like changes in times, and adapt and find ways to continue to make music still compelling with different scenarios and different circumstances and still make it work. And it's impressive when bands can do that.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
guess we just had to find out that we were one of those bands who could do that
Yeah.
and work the new school way. And yeah, I enjoyed it. It was uh, it was a nice process, and it went pretty smooth. And so it wouldn't surprise me if we keep on doing that for the future. But it would also not surprise me if we would go back to the old school way for the next album. I have no idea.
Sure. Sure. You'll just kind of feel it out based on,
Yeah,
then, it's, you seem to be a band that puts out a record every, handful of years. So in a couple years time, you'll be able to make the decision then.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly. Yeah.
um, One of the last things I wanted to ask you was I want to go back to 2012 because God Dethroned decided at that time to kind of go on this short hiatus. At the time, you had been performing together for 20 years. And what ultimately led you to say, no, we're not actually going to take this hiatus. We are going to get the band together and we're going to start recording again?
Well, first of all, I quit the band because, you know, I wasn't sure if I should put it on hiatus or quit. And if I would put it on hiatus, then I knew everybody would bug me day in, day out for when are you coming back together? When are you going to do a new album? When are you available again for live shows and tours? And I was done at that time. I needed time off. I needed time for myself. I needed space. And I really thought it would be the end of the band until I went to the funeral of our European label manager of Metal Blade Records.
Mm.
His name was Michael Trengert. He was the man who signed us, who always believed in us. When he passed away, I went to his funeral, and then I met the guys of Von Monomarth, you name it, all the bands were there, the people from the label, many musicians anyway. It was like
Hmm.
a big group of people, and I found out how much I missed hanging out with musicians,
Yeah.
being around the people that I knew for so many years already. So it was on that day that I decided, okay, this is something that belongs to me. I will not quit the band forever. I will restart it. And so we did by early 2015. We finished on the 70,000 tons of metal cruise in 2012, and we restarted again on the same cruise on the
Mhm.
70,000 tons of metal cruise in 2015, which was awesome.
Yeah.
We started there again where we left off in 2012. So, and then initially, I only wanted to play live shows. I didn't want to do a new album. I just felt like if I can play shows, then it's fine by me. But, at a certain point, our booking agent said to me, "Man, if you don't come with a new album, this will bleed dry, and you will have no more shows." So that's when we did the World Ablaze album, and yeah, then the Illuminati, which unfortunately was released a month before the pandemic broke out.
Yeah.
So that was a bit unfortunate. And but since then, I we are doing albums again, and yeah. So I guess I found out that I need it. I need to play in a band, and I need to be on the road every once in a while. It's part
You
of me.
yeah, and it's awesome that you know that that's like this is such a part of my identity. But I'm curious what you said that you were afraid that you needed time yourself, and you knew that if you only said you were on hiatus, that you would constantly be bugged about shows and tours and I'm curious now that you are touring and playing band. Is it still hard to find that time yourself, or is it always constantly, you're in your inbox is like, hey, can you play this tour? Can you do this fest? Is that something that you always have to kind of like be communicating with people? Um,
Well, in the past it was more extreme. I was also always on the hunt for shows and festivals and tours,
sure.
but not anymore. I mean, now we work with a couple of booking agents, and they gonna make proper schedules for us. So it's not gonna be as busy as it used to be in the early days.
Hmm.
So it's gonna be enough, but it's not going to be constant. So there will be more time for myself.
Hmm.
It will be more focused on touring and a little bit less on all the weekend shows in between, because it was
Yeah.
like nonstop like that. So I would only be home for for a short period of time and then go back on the road again, whether
Yeah.
it be a longer tour or a short tour or just a weekend or whatever. And now it will be different. There will be more time. It will be more peaceful, and it will be, specific tours at specific times in the year. And that makes it, I think, a lot more doable
Hmm.
at this time and age for me.
Do you do you still enjoy doing the festival thing, playing to these, big groups of metalheads to get all in one kind of place? Or are you mostly going to be focused on like the intimate tour setting? Which one do you enjoy more? I would guess.
I enjoy them both. Um, some festivals are really cozy. The other ones are super big. You want to play the super big ones because it's great for your resume. It's great to get new tours. It's great to get whatever, but it's not so easy to get on the bigger festivals because everybody wants to play there.
Hmm.
So it doesn't always happen for us. There's usually a lot of the smaller ones or the middle-sized, medium-sized festivals, and they are very enjoyable.
Yeah.
And the tours is something I really like because you can play in every country to people who really like your music.
Yeah.
So it's hard to choose. I don't want to choose because people may think, oh, he's not into festivals. Let's not book them again.
Hmm.
You know, I want people to know that we want to play everywhere. But
Yeah.
the tour setting is something I always liked best, I think, for me personally.
Of course. Well, Henry, that is all that I have for you. Um, I want to thank you again for making the time to sit down with me and chat the Judas Paradox. For everyone at home, it's coming out September 6th off of Reigning Phoenix Records. I've heard the record. I think it's great. I think you should listen to it. Thank you to my patrons, of course, as always. Thank you for you watching at home. My name is Maddie, aka Beaver Mosh, and I'm out of here. Bye.